I'm good, Chair. Thank you.
Very well. Mr. Khwase, are you fine?
She's happy.
You have a spokesperson lately. Okay, Mr. Shilembe, are you okay?
No, I'm okay, Chairperson. I'm okay.
No, thanks so much, Put. All right.
But not 100% until such time that military veterans are getting what they deserve.
Can you repeat that, Mr. Shilembe?
No, I'm not 100% happy until military veterans get what they deserve.
Okay. Right. No. Thank you very much. I think we shared that point, Mr. Shilembe. Now, DM, you have listened to I've just allowed this conversation because I could get a sense that members wanted to have a discussion rather than a question and the answer type of a session, because you have work streams that are already processing the matters. So I then consider this as input into that process as well. And I'm sure it was beneficial. I thought it was beneficial indeed. I mean, the question that Mr. Khwase, for example, Mr. Khwase raised was not in my mind. And I'm happy that the DJ says, man, this requires further examination. I was happy with that. Right, DM, you've listened to the discussion, and please your final comment before we thank you and the team.
Honorable Chair and honorable members, thank you for the comments, observations registered by the committee this morning. Chair, the probing questions by honorable members are helpful to put the spotlight on a number of areas where solutions must be verified. And we should establish certainty about what is that we are saying is going to happen. I will just briefly touch on a few of the areas that were touched by members. There is something which Honorable Member Shilembe raised about the database and Military Veterans Association and the South African Cape Corps. I did not get the point exactly what it is Honorable Member Shilembe was concerned about, and I'm unable to respond to that, even as I feel it is an important matter or an aspect that he was drawing our attention to. Let me just move on to say that the issue of housing, just for clarity, it is the case that the Department of Military Veterans is delivering houses to military veterans through the Department of Human Settlement. And the Department of Human Settlement in the provinces, the provincial departments of human settlements. And therefore, the delivery of housing has challenges of coordination between DMV and the provincial housing departments. And largely the challenge has been that the Department of Military Veterans was alleged not to be providing the name lists of the beneficiaries on time. And as a result, there would even be projects where units are released, but there would be lack of information from the Department of Military Veterans as to who the recipients of those units should be. So there is that problem. Just to say to Honorable Member Shilembe that the Department of Military Veterans does not have the capacity to take responsibility itself for projects of building houses for these military veterans. We don't have that capacity. We don't intend building that capacity. because it's just going to be an onerous responsibility for the department to take over. So we deliver these houses through human settlement in the provinces. And yes, of course, for as long as in the province, in the majority of cases, this is what we are talking about, there are no projects, housing projects in the different municipalities, there will be no houses for military veterans. That is the logic. Because these housing units we have for military veterans, we have them within the projects, the housing projects that are there planned in the provinces and in the areas where the province itself has decided to have housing delivered. So that is why even the flexibility of taking these housing units to military veterans where they are needed, it's not as flexible on the part of DMV as it would have been ideally served military veterans. So we provide them where there are housing projects in the provinces. So it's set aside for military veterans in the housing that is happening in the provinces. The point about housing that we must just underline, of course, is that part of the things that we should be working on is to phase out the need for the Department of Military Veterans to transfer this top-up to the Department of Human Settlements in the provinces, because in practice, these units are built and completed even before the Department of Military Veterans forward the top-up, amount to the delivering agents, which is the Department of Human Settlements in the provinces. So it is clear that we can find a way in which there is no transfer of any top-ups. The human settlement departments in the provinces should just build the houses according to the specification, and we find a way in which money is moved from the budgets away from the Department of Military.
They must build and bill you.
Build, and we must make sure that the money goes directly to them. It does not become part of the budget of military veterans because it creates unnecessary administrative work. And that is why there are years where the Department of Military Veterans would sit with the money and spend because there's been no claims from these provincial departments of human settlements when actually they have delivered houses. So it is that administrative, fine-tuning of delivery that the management of DMV should, spend time in clearing and working on. Moving on, Honorable Chairperson and Honorable Members, I wanted to touch on just the issue of the pension at a high level. To just profile this, that this pension, Honorable Members, it's a pension, military pension, that will only be provided and targeting military veterans who were members of the liberation armies, the non-statutory forces military veterans. The statutory forces military veterans of yesterday will not be getting this pension. And there is a clear logic to it. Because military veterans who were in SADF, who were in the TBVC state armies, as part of their employment condition, they had a pension that they would have left the system with. So to offer them a pension again through this instrument would actually create, double dipping. So this military pension is intended for the military veterans from the non-statutory forces because they were not gainfully employed and did not build pensions for themselves when they were in service. But even in relation to them, it is only those who are not receiving the special pension, because some of these military veterans from the non-statutory forces applied successfully for a special pension, and they are recipients of the special pension. If they were to get this military pension, of course, it would create a situation where it can be argued that they are benefiting twice. And it is for that reason that the policy of this pension says, if a military veteran from the non-statutory forces receives a special pension, he will only be entitled to get this military pension where there is a gap between the amount of the special pension that he is getting and what the military pension provides. He will be able to get the difference if what he is receiving as, from his special pension is below what the military pension offers them. So that, in short, is the cohort of military veterans who are going to be the beneficiaries of this military pension that we are talking about. The point, Chair, that you raised, and rightfully so, about what is the situation in relation to this pension where military veterans have already passed on. Is this pension going to be available to beneficiaries, dependents of these military veterans? Now, here is the catch. The catch is that every legislation, as a matter of convention, that is brought into force, it is never done retrospectively. If this military pension was to be implemented retrospectively, then the population, the numbers of beneficiaries would not be the 1,500 that you're talking about. The number will be huge, and depending on how far back we go in years, we are going to have a different figure to work on. And the budgets, of course, will therefore increase. So our understanding is that, like all legislation, it is never the intention of legislation when it is introduced to apply retrospectively, that this would also not be an exception. It is for that reason that there is therefore political pressure that we must make sure that we do everything firstly to finalize the verification of military veterans so that those who qualify for these benefits are loaded expeditiously, but also that this pension must be paid out as soon as possible. Because the longer we take, a month, a week, somebody dies, and his dependents are going to be deprived of the opportunity to receive this pension. That's what I thought I should just, highlight. In relation to housing in KZN, I would request the committee, without, endorsing what the DG is saying, that, the interactions that my office is having with the provinces is going to assist to endorse that, that is the responsibility of my office, because it will be tantamount to delegating upwards. But I propose that we come back to the oversight committee after we have been to KZN. Our visit to KZN has been pushed back because of things that interfered with our plans. But the reason why KZN has been behind all of the 9 provinces is what we are unable to explain. I'm not happy with the information that I have. I've had some explanations from the officers of the department, but they are not adequate. They are not adequate to explain the phenomena of KZN. And I would appeal that you just give us time. We'll be going to KZN soon on this particular matter. What I know is that in KZN, there is also the housing is impacted upon by the verification of military veterans. There are a lot of military veterans who are not on the database because verification has not been provided there, and it is impacting on housing. There are people who need houses, they are not on the database, and therefore procedurally cannot get houses. And so we got caught up in our own, tardiness as a department. But as I am saying, we will be able to explain what the challenges are, but most importantly, what is it we have agreed with the province to put in place in order to get the province to catch up with the rest of the other provinces with respect to housing. Chair, I beg to step down at this point with that said, but the comments and the remarks of the committee, they have been noted, and we'll make sure that we take them on board in the work that we'll do going forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, DG. There was a lot of information shared today, useful information, and thank you so much. And coincidentally, we are all on the same page, and we're discussing matters, and we agree that we need to speed up the process to deliver the services, long-awaited services to the military veterans. I think they've been patient with us, and so I think I don't want to spoil the discussion. It looks as though we've diagnosed the problem very well, and the plans are being formulated to address the problem. But if we don't time ourselves very well when we want to have finalized the plans and start the implementation, will delay the process unnecessarily and then cause further more frustration on the ground. We seem to have diagnosed it very well. We seem to be on the right path, and I think we need to now get to the to the end of the process. So that because it's then that people will start to see the fruits of all these discussions. I know I'm happy with the discussion. Colleagues, I think your contributions, I'm sorry that at times I was trying to constrain you a bit, but the gist of what you were saying was recorded. Both the DM and the DG have correctly articulated on them, and I don't think there would be any complaint. I think we are all clear as to where we are going. DM, we are left with 2 minutes. You're good 2 hours to deal with these matters. I'm happy. I think I can discharge you now from the platform. But of course, when you think it's okay for you to leave, let me say you are welcome to do so. Thank you very much, DM. Thank you very much, DJ. Please. DM, your part short.
Honorable Chairperson and honorable members, once again, thank you for your guidance. Thank you for your advice and your sharp eye for the weaknesses that need to be attended to by the department and the ministry. We do undertake to work very hard to bring about an improvement in the environment around military veterans. We do actually, promise that you will, soon, I think, see the fruit of your long deliberations around these issues of military veterans. With that said, Chair, once again, thank you very much.
No, siyabonga. Senihamba kahle ke mase nihamba DM and the DG.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
We can then move to the next item. Lekhwase asked to be excused at 12. I've granted her because she has another important matter to attend to. All right, colleagues, now let's consider the report. This is the report of the oversight visit to Gauteng, and that was led by Comrade Honorable Thabo Motle. So I expect Thabo and the team to lead on this. Peter, please flight the thing and you talk to us. I'm not too sure if it's going to be Peter or Willem, but one of the two.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, members. I'll be doing the presentation, Chair.
You'll be doing it. Sharp. Okay. I welcome you to do so.
Chair, is the presentation clear?
The screen is still black, pitch black, but it's uploading. Not yet. Or there it is. Now I can see the presentation, Peter.
Thank you, Chair, members. As you are aware, this report is around 7 pages long. Chair, and with your permission, I will only highlight certain aspects, given that members were on the oversight visit, as well as us having distributed the document. This is basically a collaborative effort between myself, Brian, and William. Chair, in the first section, we just introducing introduction, saying there where we went, and then the second one, we're just saying what was the primary aim, is that was to acquaint the committees of the conditions and the challenge experience, as well as to facilitate inputs and insights to enhance its oversight function. Next is the members that went on the oversight visit. Mr. Mutle, the delegation leader, and then there's the support staff. Next, at the top of the next page is all the officials that were involved. 1.3 is the program. First, we went to Girotech, and then to Centurion. And after that, we went to the Nels Littleton campus. On Friday, we went to the Special Forces School in Murray Hill, and we concluded with the visit to the Department of Military Veterans Headquarters. So if we look at point 2 there, the oversight visit to Armed Forces facilities, we started off at Girotech, and then we were welcomed there by the chairperson of the board, Dr. Philip Dexter, as well as the CEO, and then we presentation by Dr. Makaza. The first facility that we visited was the Girotech test facility, which is a multidisciplinary organization providing accredited independent test and evaluation services. Next are some of the income generating divisions, the 2 support divisions, and then they listed the various challenges, and then that was followed by the observations by and questions by members. And the first questions was whether other state entities are also using the facility. The answer was yes, but clearly not enough. The second question related to how the market competitiveness is maintained. And they say that they do make it available to various facilities and other institutions, but obviously not enough given that they are still struggling to be competitive. The next question related to whether any of the South African defense industries companies are using Gerotech, and that was responded in the positive. There was a question about the land, not all the land on the facility being utilized, and if they could, and if they had the funds, they would have expanded on that. The next question related to their engagement with the metropolitan municipalities. They are in discussion with some of them, but they are saying they should actually extend it further. A problem that we've also encountered in the Special Forces School and during our oversight visits is the land occupation around Gerotech, and then the questions asked what they were doing about it. The next one was whether the South African Police Service are using the facility, and say yes, they are using it for the VIP training, but there is a lot of scope to extend it further. Next, Dr. Makaza then discussed the dairies, the Defense Evaluation and Research Institute. The first one was the Pro-Technic Laboratories, and this is basically where they conduct project work in the field of chemical and biological defense. They discuss the successes, the challenges, mitigation, and the next dairy was the ergonomics technology. They are basically providing comprehensive service in ergonomics, occupational health and safety, both locally and as well abroad. The next one was the hazmat, hazardous materials protective systems. They basically manufacture and market a comprehensive range of respiratory products, and they've also then been supplying full face masks, chemical and biological warfare filters, etc. to the Department of Defense. The next one was Flamengo, it's Fluid and Mechanical Engineering Group. It's basically managing modeling and simulation capability for the DoD. And then there were observations by the committee members. And the first question was whether there's cooperation and competition between Arms Corps and the CSR and the NEL. And I said that many times they are mostly working together, but that obviously Arms Corps is focusing on the military. The next one related to Ergotech, especially with regards to the problems that we've also noted with the boots. And I said, yes, they are assisting them, but at the end of the day, they can only provide guidelines for the department to purchase these products. Next, also, they say they also assist them with recommendations of specifications for the type of boots to be used. But at the end of the day, it is not them producing it, they have to go out and manufacture it. The next question was concerned by one of the members, that given that Ergotech, for instance, is working with the confidential information of members of the Defense Force, whether this information is being kept confidential, and they stressed that indeed they are keeping it confidential and that all the scientists are being vetted. With regards to pyrotechnic, the question asked was to what extent the chemical and biological warfare is still a threat and whether this capability is still justified. And the response was that yes, it is justified because it's basically a unique capabilities and a skill set in the entity, and it speaks to the sovereignty and strategic independence of the country. The next question related to some of the reasons as to why they are losing scarce skills, and they said that the scientists are in demand, and sometimes they feel they get poached by entities such as PRASA and Transnet and the private sector. Next, we went then to, on a site visit to the Nell Littleton campus. We went there to a hangar and where we saw where the Badger infantry vehicle is basically assembled. We then had a briefing by some of the engineers and the personnel involved in Project Hoefyster. They've then shown us various components of the Badger and told us that it takes about 1,200 hours to complete a single system. And then they've showed us there were about 15 Badgers a system that have gone through the assembly stage and are partially complete and operational. We also had to look at the training simulators where the drivers are getting training on this. And then we also had to look at the parts storage facility where some of the spares and components for the Badger are stored. And the committee was then informed that the parts had been in storage in excess of 5 years. Next was a presentation by DLS, the Nell Land System. First, they just looked at the the manpower and how that actually decreased from May 2020 from 476 in manpower, and to December 21, there were around 263 engineers, scientists left, and with a reduction of 213 since May 2020. Next, they just listed their business risks and also what the mitigation was, and they gave us an overview of Project Hoefyster, and then under question on the development schedule, they also indicated to us what they can do. For instance, with the 5 budget variants, they said with the section variant, Armscor is still doing internal processes which impact on the conclusion of other variants. So the position paper has been with Armscor since March 2021. The fire support variant, they said they will take about 3 to 5 months. Missile variant, 14 to 18 months to complete. The command variant, 8 to 12 months. And the mortar variant between 10 and 14 months. And they explained to us the product production phase overview, and then the capability to deliver. But more importantly was why they think they should actually continue with Project Hoefyster. First, they said the South African Army is to support the South African Army to fulfill its constitutional mandate to deploy all capability, to reposition South Africa in the world as a force to be reckoned with in the defense sector, sustainability of the NEL capability base to support SANDF maintenance of its fleet and major contracts, the already developed level of ballistic protection, mobility, and firepower already far exceed that of the aging Ratel, and upgrading of the Ratel as an alternative will face major obsolescence issues, making it a lengthy and expensive alternative. And then next was retention and creation of jobs and stimulation of the economy, and enhancement of skills in science, defense, technology, and engineering in match, and then the sustainability of local defense sector and the establishment of the BBBEE suppliers. The way forward, they've explained to us that there need to be a meeting between the NEL CEO, Armscor CEO, and the Secretary for Defense to advise on moving the program forward. Armscor then was given an opportunity to respond to the presentation of the NEL, and then the acquisition and supply chain management manager, Mr. Tefo, he responded and he said, in a letter in 2018, the NEL noted that they are unable to meet all the specifications of the Project Hoefyster contract. Subsequently, after a number of occasions, there was a proposal to move forward, but some capability gaps remain. It was also agreed by both Armscor and the NEL that phase 1 has not been completed, and the challenges remain include the fact that 30mm gun was not fully developed, that the gun's accuracy remained a problem, and the smoke extractors did not work effectively. And the NEL is therefore not able to deliver on Project Hoefyster according to timelines and system requirements. Then there were various questions and observations by the members, and the first one related to why the NEL was actually unable to finalize the project to specification. And then the NEL CEO explained to us that in the past, some decisions were taken on Hoefyster that were outside the scope of the project. And then there are various other explanations that they gave to us. So if I can move over to the oversight visit to the Special Forces School on Friday morning, the 22nd of April. The presentation there was led by Colonel Jerry Mogorosi, the Brigade's Logistics Senior Staff Officer, in the absence of the General Officer Commanding, who was attending another function. His presentation basically covered the strategic profile, the mandate, vision and mission, their role and function, the state of the infrastructure and facilities, again, the encroachment of the informal settlements, and also the issue of land claims. And they had serious infrastructure and living accommodation challenges, the road infrastructure, and as well as the encroachment, we also poses a security risk to the bases. And then there was a critical success factor, and basically they are planning to build a state-of-the-art facility. The strategic and administrative challenges were also listed, and then there were observations and questions by members. And the first question then relates to the state of the equipment and the kind of equipment that they require. given that some of these deal with intelligence or confidential information. And then also a question around the air support that they require. We all know the problems that the South African Air Force is having with the flying hours. Then also they wanted to know what they've actually been doing with regards to the problems in relation to accommodation. And then the committee also needs to be prioritized and the kind of intervention that's required. So there must be a discussion between the committee and the SANDF and the Special Forces, what is required and what should be done. And then the issues of water and electricity and the land claims should be addressed. They will also ask whether there's actually a multi-party platform, given that there are various departments, entities, municipalities involved. And given their restricted budget allocation and how it impacts on the activities, we will ask them, what can they actually do with what they have? There were also problems expressed with regards to the supply chain management, the procurement challenges, and also what they've been doing to address the electricity and the water supply challenges, and then also with regards to the informal settlement, and given the challenges that they have, that their water is being intercepted by the local communities there. There are also questions around the land invasions and the military facilities across the board, and also whether this plan to expand or build a state-of facility or state-of-art facility at the school, whether it's actually been approved by the military council. And then lastly, after the presentation, we went to the urban fighting facility. We had a look at that, and then after that we went to the 4 reserve vehicle park, where we also saw where the electric cables have been stolen along the fence of the VVRP. And then the oversight visit to the DMV headquarters. This is the last part of the oversight visit, the Friday afternoon. We were welcomed there by the DG, and then there was a presentation about the headquarters, and especially related to the lease that expired already in November 2018 and has since been leased on a month-to-month basis. Also with regards to provincial officers, how they're actually being capacitated, and also information about the expiry and the renewal of the various lease agreements. There was also a reference to the call center, and they said that they basically have an agreement, a service level agreement with CETA that's actually assisting them to develop this. And then questions for the DMV is the first question was whether the department is actually enjoying legal protection if they do not provide the 11 benefits as provided in the Military Veterans Act. We had no clear response to that. The second question related to whether the housing benefits actually include the assistance with the removal of asbestos, and the response was there basically in the negative. The next one is that they should actually assist the military veterans to access the military the medical benefits, and we know what they told us before, that they are trying their level best to do that and ease and smooth the access to medical facilities. And then there was a concern raised about a school benefit to the school fees that are being paid, and especially, for instance, in the case of disabled children. And the next one just related to the continued lack of progress to clean and finalize the military veteran database. Once again, this concern was expressed, and we've heard today that they are going around the country with the verification process with the presidential task team. And then pertinent questions were also asked around the fact that the headquarters lease had expired at the end of November 2018. And it was asked why it's now being done on a rental basis, because obviously this is a lot more than if you have a fixed rent agreement. The next one was then also asked who is actually the owner of the building. It was indicated that it's being owned by NMI Group Limited. And then there was a question of access to the DMV headquarters, because they've raised concerns that members of the public can basically just walk into the building. The next one was also around the vacant senior management positions, and we've heard that they are busy dealing with that. And then soon, hopefully, this disciplinary process will be completed. The next one related to the building not being secured, as it poses security risks both to the employees and the visitors there, and we wanted to know what the impact was actually on the core business of the department. The last one related to the functioning of the call center, and the question was whether it's fully staffed and operated optimally to assist military veterans with queries. Chair, the last part is just the recommendations or the proposed recommendations by the committee. And the first one was about the lack of adequate military uniform and boots. And then the committee recommends that the DoD calculate the requirements in this regard and shift funds in the 2022 adjustment budget to address the problem. The DoD should report back to the committee during deliberations on the adjusted budget for 2022-23. And Armed Corps Economic Division should also be consulted to ensure the appropriate uniform and footwear are procured for the SANDF. The next one related to the sweating of assets, and we've heard last week what the minister had to say about this. The first one to put it on hold, so I'll pass that one, Chair. With regards to the NEL project Hoefyster, the committee observed at this juncture between the views of Arms Corps, the NEL, and the prospects, and so the committee then recommended urgent engagement between Arms Corps, the NEL, and the SANDF on the future of the project. Arms Corps should report back to the committee in writing not later than 21 July 22 on the outcome of such engagements and the way forward with the project. With regard to Special Forces Brigade and the school, the first one was the impact of the human settles around the military base, and the committee then recommended that the DoD and other relevant departments work together to find a lasting solution to land invasions around military bases. The DoD should also provide updates in its annual report, starting with the 21-22 annual report, on progress in this regard with a detailed breakdown of affected areas and relevant engagement to address the matter. The next one related to areas of the SANDF being subjected to a land claim process, and then recommendation is that the DoD should in subsequent annual reports provide a more detailed breakdown of the specific bases and military areas under land claim and the progress on this specific claim. The next one related to the special equipment requirements by the Special Forces, where the committee recommended an engagement between the DoD, Department of Trade and Industry, National Treasury, and the establishment of a permanent, reasonable departure or special dispensation for foreign procurement of specialized equipment unique to the Special Force environment. The DoD should prioritize this engagement and provide feedback on its outcome to the committee during deliberations on the adjusted budget for 2022. The next one related to the non-availability of water and electricity at several military bases, and the committee recommends the urgent intervention from the DoD, ESCOM, and the City of Tshwane to address this matter. The DoD should report in writing to the committee on progress in this regard no later than 2 months after the adoption of this report. Should a permanent solution to the repair of electricity lines not be possible, the DoD should consider the use of solar and or other power generation as an alternative means to supply the units in the area. The next one is that the committee also recommended that in order to process the issues of the Special Forces Brigade, the committee should convene a close meeting with the senior management of the DoD to deal with the challenges faced by Special Forces. With regards to the DMV headquarters, firstly, that the committee recommends that the DMV should prioritize the delivery of medical benefits to military veterans as members continue to receive complaints in this regard. We must also stress that the bursaries for school fees should be announced, especially in the case of disabled children, as challenges in this regard from DMV side further complicate an already challenging situation. The second one is that the DMV should, during its third quarterly meeting with the committee, report specifically on the DMV headquarters lease, and in particular, what they have done to address the situation as the first lease expired in November 2018. They should also report on all leases for provincial offices and also whether these offices are functional and fully staffed. They should explain what they are doing in the interim to make sure that the DM headquarters are more secure given the security risks that the building pose. And lastly, the DMV was encouraged to further enhance the call center and actively improve awareness of the call center amongst military veterans, given the reported challenge the DMV headquarters and provincial offices. Progress on the finalization and improvement of the call center and the integrated data management system should be reported to the committee during the third quarterly meeting. Lastly, Chair, the committee just expressed its gratitude to all the personnel from Arms Corps, the Special Forces School, as well as DMV headquarters for their cooperation and sharing the challenges with the committee in an open and transparent manner. And the committee also extends appreciation to members of Parliament and the committee support staff who made this oversight visit possible and sure that it was successful. Thank you, Chair.
Well, look, thank you very much for the job well done. Daniel, you've done very well. I convey that to you and the team that you are working with. All right, colleagues, I present this report to you. Let me just check if there are any corrections or misrepresentations that you may want to be dealt with before I move it for adoption, or I present it for adoption or acceptance. Mr. Murray, if your hand is up.
Chairperson, I mean, it's again a fantastic report. There are just two matters that I was wondering whether one can add that to the way forward. The one was something that was forthcoming from Bullet, under 7.3 Special Forces Brigade, the second last bullet that deals with the electricity, water, and and the extreme conditions and the concerns that we had. Whether we can recommend or whether we can request the Department of Defense to give us feedback on how the not availability of electricity is affecting the storage of our vehicles and equipment. Because if they are not kept in a rapid response condition, it might impact on our defense readiness. Because my knowledge is that those stores at Walmansdal and other places as well, but specifically Walmansdal, where there's a concern, the vehicles and the equipment is stored under an ideal climatical condition that they don't need to be serviced before they are rapidly employed and utilized. But if there are not electricity that can basically power that system to make sure that might impact heavily on our readiness. So if we can just maybe add that, I'll be appreciative. And then the second one on the NEL and Arms Corps. We have talked about that many times, about the future of the NEL. Although it is only mentioned here, the future of the NEL must be sorted out. But I think the one thing that we have talked about is, that the NEL should come back to the Department of Defense. And that is not necessarily in the report in so many words. And I'm just wondering whether we can embark on a process, because quite clearly the Minister of Public Enterprises has got a total different view than the Minister of Defense, and the NEL has got a different view than Arms Corps, and eventually it's the Department of Defense and the SNDF that is basically biting the bullet. And somehow I was just wondering whether we can start with a process to see which divisions of the NEL we essentially require, and that can be moved or integrated with Arms Corps, as we've mentioned in the past. It's not explicitly like that in the report, and I was just wondering whether we can be more brave in identifying that as a discussion point taking forward.
Will we not be encroaching with the executive function assuming what you take from Denel to AMSCO is key for the survival of Denel, at least in the meantime. You see, will it that not be fatal to, I don't know, but I don't know. They were discussing the thing, and the two issues are raising. It's one, the conditions under which those vehicles are kept, whether they require electricity, and then the second one is this issue that you're raising. Let me hear what other members have to say. Remember, we're discussing your findings, colleagues. I cannot see the thing. Please comment, colleagues. We're discussing the findings and what you are recommending.
Yeah.
Thabo, is this your hand?
No, Chair, but I can comment. I think the report has been well drafted and captured issues as they developed in those engagement that we had with various entities. And for me, I'm not sure on the issue that Honorable Murray just deposited now. Of course, we have raised our concern quite a number of times on the issue of Denel. And we have given them, I think it's part of our recommendation that they must, both Denel, DOD and AMSCO, out of what they've presented to us, they must come back and report to us somewhere, I think it's next month or this month. We have given them 3 months, particularly on the status of Project Roof Easter. How are they intending to go about it, taking into consideration that it is never our intention or our will that Denel must just collapse in the interest of DOD Project Roof Easter, but a formidable solution should be sought that would not contribute to the demise or ultimately liquidation of Denel, because we still need those capabilities. We must put our energies, our heads together and see how best can we save Denel, taking into consideration that part of our view is that Denel is dislocated. It must be under DOD. If possible, those capabilities can be taken back to AMSCO, because I'm told previously AMSCO was also responsible for production, not only acquisition only. So those are the discussions that we can engage on at the later stage. But for now, the report, I think, has captured our findings and recommendation very well.
Thank you. Can I hear any other comment? Colleagues, please shout.
Chairperson, can I just respond to Honorable Mutle?
Yes, just hold them. Just check if there's any other comment. I'll come back to Mr. Murray. Is there any other comment, colleagues? Please shout if you because I cannot see your hand on this side. Okay, doesn't look like there's any other hand. Mr. Murray, you wanted to comment?
Yeah, I think what Honorable Mutley said about the NEL and Armscor is absolutely 100% in line with my concerns. Yes, we can wait for the 21st of July when they need to report back to us. But I think it's as long as we as a committee just identify that and say that, you know, somewhere along the line we will have to address this if it's not coming forward fast enough, because otherwise we might lose the capabilities of the NEL. Just on your response, whether we're encroaching on the executive, no, I don't think so. I think it's not a prescription to them. It is an initiative by us to look at the defence capabilities and how things are affecting the SANDF going forward. So because we don't need to encroach on the executive, but we need to do our work. So I'm happy with that part. The first part that you have mentioned is not just about the electricity, but it's just how the conditions under which those vehicles are stored, and the lack of electricity, how that is affecting the defence readiness of those vehicles and equipment. And I think a report back on that will obviously put us into a position and see how severe the electricity deficit or the lack of electricity is in Walmansdal, and what we need to do. It might be in our best interest to invest in generators to make sure that those storage facilities at least are kept at the optimum climatical situation, so that we don't lose that or must spend an enormous lot of money on maintaining them in terms of defence readiness. So
okay.
So yeah.
So we'll express that as a concern.
Yeah, and just request them maybe to give us feedback at one stage about the conditions of those vehicles where there's no electricity, because it's
and that at some point they must give us feedback on the conditions of those vehicles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
I noted that, Mr. Daniels.
Yes, Chair. Thank you. I've got it, Chair.
Yeah, but on the status of Denel, I think let's leave it at where Thabo is leaving it.
Yeah, Mr. That's why I said, as long as we just identify that going forward, that we...
No, we'll discuss that going forward. No, that's fine. That's fine.
But with that, I will propose for the acceptance of the report.
We propose for the acceptance. All right. Thabo has seconded it. Thabo? Agreed?
Agreed, Chair.
Thank you so much. Colleagues, I've presented the report to you, and Mr. Mare moved it, and Honorable Mare moved it, Honorable Mutle seconded it. That, therefore, means that our report is adopted and for onward transmission to Parliament. All right. Colleagues, thank you very much for the deliberations. All right, Thabo, thank you very much for standing in for me when I was unable to do so. Thank you so much. All right, colleagues, can we then move to the next item? The minutes. Mr. Shelembe, you want to say something?
Why, Chairperson, because we are still showing, the minutes, and you want me to say something. Why can't you wait?
I saw you're taking the screen. I'm sorry. All right. Brian, you like this CV. Maybe when you draft the minutes, you think of your CV a lot. Yeah.
My apologies.
All right. So, colleagues, these are the minutes of the 25th of May, 22. Discussing progress in relation to DOD cases of fraud and corruption and consequence management. And then we looked at the 2021 report. on the annual performance of the committee, and we adopted the minutes. Right, this was the attendance, colleagues. We now let's pay attention to the minutes. Right, let's go down. Go down. On page 3. Page 4. Page 5. Colleagues, are there any corrections? All right. Are there any corrections that you want to effect from page 1 to the last page? All right. It doesn't look like there's any correction. Colleagues, I now present the minutes for adoption.
I move Chair for adoption.
Honorable Mucha moves for adoption. Chelembe seconds. Colleagues, thank you very much. The minutes are adopted. Brian, thank you very much once again for the good work. All right. Colleagues, I think we have come to the end. Are we not at the end of the meeting, Brian?
Indeed, we are.
Okay, it's 22:01. At 1 o'clock, I will be attending a meeting of the chairs of the committees. Colleagues, thank you very much for attendance. It was a really productive meeting today. And I appreciate your attendance and your participation until we meet again. Thanks to the support team. The meeting is adjourned.
Thank you very much. Best wishes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thanks.
Recording stopped.